Narcissists are extremely concerned about their reputation. Their reputation is much more important to them than it generally is to most people. At the same time, instead of developing themselves into the kind of person they want others to see them as, narcissists spend their time pretending to be the person they want people to see them as. Instead of genuinely developing the traits they want others to believe they have, they figure out ways to pretend that they have these traits. They build a fantasy world where they pretend to be all the things that they hope people will believe they are, instead of putting any effort into actually becoming these things. So in today's video, I want to talk about 3 big things that narcissists want you to believe about them that really aren't true at all. Welcome to Looking Behind the Mirror, where we explore narcissism and take our lives back as we make sense out of nonsense. As a quick disclaimer, everything I say is based on my opinions and my personal experiences. I'm not a professional, and if you're really struggling, I encourage you to seek professional help. I am providing links below for you. The first thing that narcissists want you to believe about them is that they are strong. They come from a place of strength. They want to intimidate other people. They want people to feel weak compared to them. And some of them are really, really good at creating this facade that they are this big, strong person that can do anything, somebody that can overcome anything. But in reality, narcissists are very, very weak, cowardly people, generally speaking. In a nutshell, you could say that they are bullies, and a bully is not a strong person. A bully is someone who takes advantage of the vulnerabilities and the weaknesses of other people. A bully is someone that exploits advantages that they have over other people that don't necessarily have anything to do with strength of character or anything that they've actually earned. I think the most obvious example would be a bully that is just bigger and stronger physically than other people, taking advantage of that and intimidating others and maybe even physically harming other people in order to intimidate and get their way. But as a lot of us have probably learned in our lives, the minute you actually start to resist a bully, when you actually start to make it a little difficult for them, or you actually put something in their path that makes them have to risk something, they usually will run away scared and never bother you again. But as long as they feel like they have the upper hand and they can just take things away from you, lie about you behind your back, physically harm you, intimidate you, threaten you, scare you, they will just keep doing it until they face any real resistance at all. I did not make this next transition very well. I meant to make the transition into talking about how you can see for yourself that the narcissist is not a strong person, but I didn't really explain that, so I'm inserting this into the editing right now. Some ways that you can actually see this in the narcissistic people that you might deal with in your life are a very low tolerance for stress. Narcissists do not handle stress well, and they are stressed out very easily. I think a lot of us have probably been involved with a narcissist that's constantly in crisis mode. Everything is a crisis and they don't handle it well. They're freaking out constantly about this and that. And I don't think all narcissists are like this necessarily, at least not outwardly. But I think on some level in their own style, you can see that they are constantly panicking over something and they don't handle it well. They crumble under pressure like a bully. Any real resistance, any real sacrifices, they crumble. They can't stand up to true strength. They have a very hard time regulating their emotions. This is almost impossible for them, and they can't seem to develop these skills even as grown adults. No matter how much destruction this causes them, no matter how many problems this causes them in their lives, they just cannot get a handle on this, or very, very few of them ever figure this out. And when I say regulating their emotions, I mean they can't recognize what they're really feeling and deal with it. They feel scared. They feel threatened. Their insecurities are tapped into and they just don't know how to deal with it other than to take it out on you, to use you as an emotional punching bag, or to start ranting and raving over something that has nothing to do with what they're actually feeling, because they just don't have the strength to deal with their own emotions or to regulate them. Narcissists are also unwilling to face reality. They don't have the strength or the fortitude to look in the mirror and face themselves and admit to their faults and admit when they've done something wrong or when there's something they could improve on. They also don't have the fortitude to face the realities around them. They live in a fantasy world where everything is what they hope it is, everything is what they say it is, and everything is what they feel like it is. They can't handle the truth. They can't look around them and say, oh, I guess I was wrong about that. Or, oh, this isn't what I thought it was. I need to adjust my expectations. They can't do that. They're locked in this fantasy world where they just cannot handle facing reality. Narcissism itself is a reaction to trauma. Why, when faced with childhood trauma, do some people become narcissists and others overcome it without becoming narcissists? I mean, I don't want to blame little children for the way they react to trauma. I think this is just an ingrained personality thing, but narcissism really is a form of running away from trauma, running away from uncomfortable, painful, scary situations and burying your head in the sand and pretending that things aren't really what they look like. And then carrying this into adulthood where you're living in a fantasy world because you can't handle reality. And this kind of goes back to what I mentioned a minute ago about sacrifice. Narcissists don't have the strength to even understand why they should have to sacrifice anything, especially for another person. But to sacrifice comfort, fake comfort, comfort in lies, in order to face reality and deal with what is actually happening and deal with who they actually are. Narcissists rely on the strength of other people that they subjugate and control and bully, because they really don't have any of their own. So I think this is important to keep in mind when a narcissist is intimidating you and making you feel afraid to stand up for yourself, making you feel afraid to assert boundaries or to say what you really think. This is why they do this, because really on the inside, they are the one who feels the weakest of all. They are the one that doesn't have the strength to live in the real world, to have empathy for people, to sacrifice, or to face reality. The second thing that narcissists don't want you to know about them is that they are extremely insecure. They are filled with self-hatred, self-loathing. And I know a lot of people just flat out don't believe this. I see it in the comments, but I have a whole video that I did a few years ago called Yes, Narcissists Hate Themselves, where I really make the case of why you can see for yourself that narcissists truly do hate themselves. And of course, this is related to their extreme insecurities. Now, if you know a narcissist and you've dealt with one, you probably see someone who exhibits the very opposite of what seems to be extreme insecurity. And that is somebody who feels like they're better than everyone. They're superior to everyone. They're not just more important than other people. They're the only person who is important. No one else matters at all compared to how much they matter. And so it's counterintuitive. It doesn't quite make sense that somebody who seems so self-important, who places themselves above everyone, who talks about themselves and seems to view themselves as superior to everyone, would actually be extremely insecure. Someone who has an extremely fragile ego and is filled with self-loathing and self-doubt and self-hatred. But this extreme insecurity is why they act like they're the only person that matters and that they're the smartest person in the whole world and that what they think is the only thing that's right and that their opinions or their feelings are more important than objective reality. They're overcompensating for how they actually view themselves. They tell themselves they're better than you. They tell themselves they're superior, they're smarter, because they're trying to drown out the feelings and the voices that are constantly telling them what an absolute piece of garbage they are. And this voice that's constantly telling them how horrible, what a piece of garbage they are, it plagues them 24/7. It's why they act the way they do. They are constantly trying to convince themselves that they are the complete opposite of what they actually believe, or what these voices in their head are telling them 24/7. So when they're picking on you, when they're making you feel unimportant and less than and inferior, this is a projection of how they actually feel about themselves. And this has nothing to do with you. Everything that a narcissist does, including talking to you and telling you things about yourself, is all about them. Everything they say, everything they do is all about them, including the things they say about you. So when a narcissist is criticizing you, when they're telling you that you're stupid or ugly, or you don't listen, or you don't consider other people, or whatever, these are 9 times out of 10 ways that they feel about themselves, and they're trying to project that out onto you. They're trying to make you the person who's stupid or ugly or lazy or whatever, because that's really how they view themselves. But they feel like if they can convince you and convince themselves that you're the one that is all these things, then they won't have to feel that way about themselves anymore. It doesn't have anything to do with you. If deep down they feel like the stupidest person that ever existed, they will look at you no matter who you are. They will look for reasons that they can view you as a stupid person. They don't see something you did that might be able to be twisted into something stupid and create this opinion based on what you did. They look for reasons that they can make you the stupid one, or the lazy one, or the ugly one, or whatever it is they're insecure about. They look for things that they can point to and say, oh, you're the stupid one. You're the liar. You're the inconsiderate, selfish person, not me. What a relief, because they were already feeling these ways about themselves. And that's why I say over and over again, it has nothing to do with you. Whatever criticisms, whatever harsh criticisms they have for you are projections of how they actually feel about themselves, and things that they're trying to push off onto you so that they won't have to feel this way anymore. And that's why you can never, ever be good enough for them, because they're never, ever going to overcome these insecurities they have about themselves. If one day you were suddenly good enough for them, then who would they have left to blame? Who would they have left to look down on? Who would they have left to help them feel better about themselves by pushing all of their insecurities onto you? And a couple more thoughts on these insecurities. If you have any doubt that narcissists really do look down on themselves and are filled with insecurity, people who are truly confident in themselves, who truly have a healthy sense of self-worth and believe in their positive traits, don't go around destroying other people's lives. They don't feel the need to tear other people down, to unnecessarily and cruelly, unfairly criticize other people in order to make themselves feel better or to make themselves feel relevant. People with healthy self-esteem and confidence don't have to get the approval of other people. They don't have to make other people feel afraid of them. They don't have a constant need to have other people pay attention to them. People that truly feel good about themselves and feel confident in themselves don't need other people constantly reassuring them, constantly validating them, constantly giving them feedback that they are all these wonderful things that they want to believe about themselves. They don't need to compare themselves to other people constantly pushing other people down below them to try to convince themselves that they are so much better than they actually believe. And one more thing to think about is when a narcissist is tearing you down and making you feel like you're not good enough, nothing you do is good enough, and you are all these horrible things that they actually believe about themselves, deep down underneath all of that overcompensating, all of that defensiveness, that totally unnecessary, destructive defensiveness, they know you're good enough for them. And all of this criticism and this venom and this cruelty is their way of compensating for the belief that they're not good enough for you, which is truly what they believe deep down. They know deep down that you could do better, that you would be better off without them, and that they don't really deserve you. And their belief that they're not good enough for you goes beyond even what's true. And that's the truth. That's the reality. And you can see that when you really look at the things they say about you and how emotional they become over things that really don't matter. They are constantly battling this belief that they are actually an inferior, worthless piece of garbage. The third thing that narcissists don't want you to know about them is that they need you. They are extremely reliant on you. And maybe it's not you as an individual, because they don't see people as individuals, but it's the things you provide. Whatever role you play for them in their life, replaceable as it may be, they need you. They need those things that you are providing for them. Even if what you're providing for them is a scapegoat, a punching bag, somebody to blame everything on, somebody to control, they need that. Or maybe you're somebody at this stage, maybe you're somebody that's providing a supply in a positive way. You know, you're telling them how wonderful they are, or you're doing things that suggest that you believe they are so wonderful, or you're constantly cleaning up their messes. You're enabling the excuses they make for all of the destructive things they do. Whatever it is, whatever role you're playing, they need other people more than most people do. They are nothing. They are nothing without people to reassure them, validate them, and without people that they can control, look down on, and blame for everything. They are nothing without other people providing this feedback to them that helps them ground themselves in this fake fantasy world that they're creating. As I said earlier, they rely on the strength of other people. They rely on other people to do the things that they are incapable of doing themselves. And I think you can see this in a lot of different scenarios. Maybe if it's a parent that relies on their child to be all the things that they could never be, to make them feel good about themselves by being a good student or a good athlete or whatever. The parent is relying on the child to support their self-esteem. Or maybe a narcissistic boss that relies on their employees to do the work that makes them look good, to have the skills to work with other people, to solve problems, to not buckle under pressure like the narcissist does. The narcissist relies on other people to build their own reputation on lies and on falsehoods. And they rely on other people just to get through life and to construct the narrative that they want other people to believe. This external validation that they can't live without is commonly referred to as narcissistic supply. And it's just this need to have other people basically saying, yeah, this fantasy you have about yourself, sure, yeah, no, you're really smart. Yeah, you're really scary, or you're really powerful, you're really good looking, or whatever it is they want to believe about themselves that they know or they feel is a lie. They need other people to reassure them that they are these things they want to believe. And now you would think that this desperate need that they have, this extreme reliance they have on other people, this need they have for what you provide would cause some kind of appreciation, that they would appreciate all the things you sacrifice and all the things that you provide for them that they so desperately need. But it's the extreme opposite. They feel very resentful that they need you. the more they rely on you, the more they need you, the more resentful they feel, because the more it makes them feel insecure and taps into those feelings of worthlessness that they have. You know, the more of a reminder it is to them that they believe about themselves that they're a worthless piece of garbage. And so the more they rely on you, the more they need you, the more they resent you, the more contempt they build for you. And here you are trying harder and harder and harder to be more and more for them, to give more and more to them. But the more they rely on you, the more contempt they build. There's no appreciation in a narcissist. Narcissists are completely devoid of appreciation because they feel 100% entitled to everything that you give them. And then they resent how much they need you, how helpless they feel without you. And of course, they do not want you to realize this. They want you to feel like you can't live without them, which is why that's the narrative a lot. That's why they will say things all the time about how you'd be nothing without them, or they'll suggest this in subtle ways, depending on their personality. You're nothing without them. Nobody else would ever want to hire you. Nobody else would ever want to put up with you. Nobody else could ever love you. They will actually say things like this to make you feel like they're doing you some favor by putting up with you, when really they don't know how they would survive without you. And in a way, this is like their way of trying to control you, trying to keep you in place because of how much they rely on you. I mean, they're venting their contempt, but at the same time, they're trying to intimidate and bully you into staying put, which is ironically what pushes a lot of people away in the end. So the main point of these things that I want to make is not so much that we really need to know what the narcissist is thinking, what the narcissist's insecurities are, what they really believe. At the end of the day, what's going on in the narcissist's head is not really that important. What's important is to understand that the narcissist is not the authority over you. They don't have the right to tell you that you're lazy or stupid, or that your opinions aren't as important as theirs, or that you owe them things that you don't really owe them. The narcissist has all these things they're dealing with that have nothing to do with you. And it's easy to fall into the trap of being convinced that they're the strong one, they're the powerful one, they're the scary one. And of course, they can be very dangerous. So I don't want to create the impression that I'm trying to suggest that you shouldn't turn your back on them, because they can be very dangerous. But this is not coming from a place of strength, not coming from a place of strength of character. It's not coming from any qualities they have that make them a better person than you. Narcissists are insecure, cowardly, selfish, needy, bottomless pits of endless need and insecurity. And they will try to make you believe that they're more important and better than you. But at the end of the day, you're the one with the strength. You're the one with the ability to sacrifice. You're the one with the ability to face reality, which is why you're probably watching this video right now. The reality of what a narcissist actually is in your life is a very painful, sometimes very frightening reality to face. And the fact that you're willing to do that is just another example of how much stronger you are than this person who has bullied you into believing that you're less than them. You were never less than them, and they've known that all along. I hope this helps. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and comment below any ideas you have for me for future videos. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like this video and would like to see more like it in the future. Until next time, thanks. Bye.